So, Mr. Broyles, can you please respond to the research cited by the ACLU that appears to show that an opt-out approach is more aligned with the intentions of parents as compared to an opt-in?
The RAND research study is what's relied on not only by the ACLU, but it's repeated by 80% of the opposition letters. And it's cited as a decisive point that parents prefer opt out rather than opt in. But unfortunately, the RAND research does not support the position that opt-out or passive consent more accurately reflects parents' wishes regarding comprehensive sexuality education. I've got a copy of the RAND study here, and it actually was a limited study of 2 schools of 7th grade classes in 2 schools. And the issue there was not comprehensive sexuality education that was studied. In fact, it was a drug rehabilitation and prevention program. And parents were actually not queried as to what their preference was as far as an opt-in or opt-out. The RAND research team deduced from the response rates from an opt-out in one school and an opt-in in another school what parents' wishes were, but they didn't actually query the parents on what their preference was. But even if they had, this is a 31-year-old study. It was a limited pool of schools, and it wasn't talking about comprehensive sexuality education, whether parents preferred an opt-in or opt-out, especially for younger children. And so the study itself is, it's not even a study of opt-in and opt-out in the sexuality education sphere, nor is it a study involving younger children. And so this, you can look at the study yourself. I encourage the senators to do so, and I've got a copy of the study here if anybody wants to see it. This extremely small pool is not generalizable to all school environments. So you can't take that one study that didn't have anything to do with sex ed and say, well, it applies to any other school, let alone regarding sexuality education. Secondly, the RAND study says, quote, deciding whether passive or active consent is appropriate must be decided on a case-by-case basis. And that's precisely what we're trying to do here today, is to say, you know, an opt-out may be appropriate for 7th through 12th graders, but an opt-in with more parental input and control is appropriate for younger students. The age group we're talking about here is not young adults or little adults. We're talking about 5-year-old children through 12-year-old children. And so if we want to have actual informed consent, we need to have an opt-in and we need to have the transparency involved. Otherwise, there's a very big danger that children will be subjected to early sexuality education when their parents actually don't know about the program or don't consent to their involvement.